On this week's GTA 5 O'Clock, a look back at the GTA 5 single player. We check out our top 7 missions from the main game. Find out what makes the cut, all here on this week's GTA 5 O'Clock. Hello and welcome to this week's GTA 5 O'Clock. I'm your host James Jarvis and I'm joined by co-host Ian Wilson.
Hello.
Hello there. Bit slow on the old uptake this week.
I thought you were going to drop in a Mr. Trophy.
Oh no, and Mr. Trophy.
There we go.
There we are, done. Okay, right. Something a bit different this week. We thought instead of collecting some news from the world of GTA, which there isn't much of at the moment.
Not really.
Nothing came out at Gamescom.
No.
Nothing happened there, nothing to announce, nothing on the single player. We thought we'd take a look back, a bit of a retrospective look at the GTA 5 single player and pick out our top missions from that very game.
Yes.
Now, there was going to be 5, but then we both sent a list to each other, and it turned out there was a couple of discrepancies, so we've gone for 7.
Yes.
And then a few extras of like honourable mentions.
Cool.
So let us know what you think about these in the comments. Let us know your favourites in the comments. But for now, we'll crack straight on with the ones that I think we agreed on first.
Okay.
So I think friend request
was
definitely one that we put up there as one of the best missions in the game.
Yeah, it's a good one. It surprised me actually when I went back to replay this mission, like how early on in the game it is, because it's really pretty early on. It's like obviously you've just met Lester, been sort of introduced to him as a character and his kind of shady technological works that he gets involved with, and then he sends you off to the old life hacker office
slash Facebook.
So definitely not Facebook.
No.
So it's quite good that one. When you go off to the a clothes shop first, you have to get your sort of disguise outfit, as it were, to make yourself look like a hipster or a man who's sort of not been able to let go of that sort of look. So and you get a lot of sympathy from the assistant in the clothes shop when you're getting your stuff there. She's obviously seen a lot of it going on.
Yeah, exactly. So you go to the life hacker building, you get sort of talk your way in.
Yeah.
You have to minimise all of those pop-ups.
Yeah, it's a really tricky one, that. All those pop-ups flashing on the screen. I mean, it's quite a good mission. This is one thing that GTA does really well, kind of like dropping in extra little sort of gameplay mechanics that you'd maybe only use for 1 or 2 missions and never do it again, but it sort of mixes up the gameplay. So that one, clicking on getting rid of all the pop-ups. For the gold medal in this one, you've got to do that all in 32 seconds, I think it is. It's really tricky. It took me a lot of attempts when I was trying to get the gold on those before. But yeah, it's quite a funny office. It's kind of like obviously like a parody on these sort of cool laid-back companies where people can pretty much do what they want. So everyone's kind of like messing around in the office and playing air guitar and jumping around in the office, in the rooms and stuff. And you got the guy who's come for his interview and he's been forced to sit on a beanbag chair even though he's got a bad back and he's really not happy about it.
That woman gets her milk stolen.
She does, yeah. Someone drinks her hemp milk and she
not happy about that.
Kicks right off about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously once you've got in and placed the device on the prototype, you then get out and sort of race back to your apartment, and then sort of another new mechanic there of watching the keynote speech that's been streamed on the TV. And then when you get to the point that he's actually got the phone out, you have to pull up your phone and dial that number, and then you actually see the consequences happen on the screen.
Yeah, for me, I think like playing through it, that was probably one of the first moments when I was like, oh wow, this has got violent quite quickly.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely escalates fast.
It's quite a powerful scene to be watching someone do a speech and then you ring them up and see them basically get their head blown off.
Exactly, yeah, because it's like I guess the first time you played it, there's no particular suggestion that's going to happen. I mean, I think there's like the odd kind of throwaway comment about, oh, I hope he doesn't lose his head or something like that, but you probably wouldn't pick up on that the first time.
Yeah, that's quite for something that's so early on in the game.
Yeah,
it's like one of the first things that happened that's like properly big time violent and impactful. So definitely a really cool mission.
Yeah.
Next up, I think we both had down Crystal Maze.
Yeah.
Now this is the Trevor goes to the O'Neill brothers farmhouse which is doubled as a meth lab.
Yeah.
And sets
Good.
it on fire.
It's good, sort of, well, not even a pun because it's literally the same words, but a good reference to the old British TV show Crystal Maze there as well, and obviously Crystal Meth.
Yes, lots of things. So this was one that I think they used this scene from this in the trailers quite a lot with Trevor
walking away from the explosion. Yeah, it's a pretty big bang at the end of this one. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, it kind of plays around with the mechanics of the game, that it offers you a stealth sort of way of doing the mission. You can sneak around with a silenced weapon, like taking all the brothers out and clearing the farmyard before you go into the house. If you do get spotted, they do kind of raise the alarm when everyone else comes chasing after you. So it does pay to actually sneak around and take them out, so you're not having to deal with loads of guys coming after you at once. And then once you got in, as I discovered when you're fighting your way through the farmhouse, I chucked a grenade into one of the rooms just to kind of like try and clear things out a bit. Turns out there's quite a lot of flammable stuff in that house.
Yeah.
I know that is the
For
whole...
a meth lab, that's confusing.
Exactly. That's kind of the nature of this mission. But yeah, the explosion from that kind of started a small fire. Oh, that's quite interesting. And then it pretty much spread through all the rooms of the downstairs of the house, and I actually set myself on fire once trying to get around it. But
amazing.
It did clear out all the guys on that floor though, so it's
top tip.
Did the job, yeah.
Throw a grenade in.
Exactly, yeah. And then of course once you get down into the basement, you've got the jerry can of gasoline down there, and then you got the little dotted trail on the map to sort of lay a trail all the way through the house and out the front door. And then light it up, and then as you say, you get to see the flame going all the way down that line, blowing up the lab, and then the big explosion taking out the entire house.
Yeah, it's like sets the scene for prompting you to try that again, like later on in the game with cars and fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's that sort of introduces the sort of the mechanic that you can use a petrol can to actually lay a track and light it up and do that. So that's quite a clever way of sort of showing that off as well.
Yeah, good way to introduce that. So the final one that we both agreed on, I think, was the Plato score.
Yeah.
Now this is, I think, my favourite heist in the whole game.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. I mean,
it's much better than the one at the end. I think the one at the end is a bit like it's. Maybe it's that this one was sort of a surprise, like getting those giant robo suits.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, it all starts off in Plato Bay. It's very sort of quiet, laid back area. There's not really anything going on. There's a chicken festival going on. That shows what sort of stuff's going on there. But yeah, it's great when you get into you obviously you pick your crew and you go in. If you did the random event and you found Patrick McCreary from GTA 4 and recruited him onto your team, you can take him along for the heist. And then sort of while you're driving onto that one, he's telling you all about a heist that he was involved with where his brothers got killed, which is basically the 3-leaf clover iconic GTA 4 mission. So that's quite cool as well. But yeah, just when you've gone into the bank and broken open the vault and done that, and it's obvious that the sort of corrupt local police are all swarming in, and like there was no way that they could have got in and out without being sort of surrounded. And then you get the big reveal where the camera pans out and they've got these big armoured suits on, and Trevor's got a massive minigun and just absolutely tear through everything in the town. It's like definitely unexpected the first time you do it.
Yeah, because it should be like quite a small raid on a bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
it's kind of that's how it's set out. But yeah.
And then you drive like a digger around for a bit.
That's it. Yeah. So you're fighting your way through with like your minigun shooting down helicopters and fighting your way through the police, and then like the noose guys start turning up, and they're like, oh, I can't believe they've got noose support in this like tiny town, and then they see a helicopter with a tank fly over the top, and the army turns up, so it's properly kicking off. And then you got Franklin, who doesn't have his big suit of armour on, so he has to hop into a sort of tipper bulldozer and sort of drive down a few streets, and you can like use the dipper on the front to flip over jeeps and run people over and stuff, and obviously protect you from getting shot as you're driving around. And then fight your way. Once you've got everyone, fight your way through the chicken factory, and then escape on the train at the end.
Perfect mission.
Yes,
I think
strong.
So on to ones now that we didn't agree on at first.
Yeah.
They have made the list. I went for my next one as Three's Company.
Yes.
Now this one, obviously everybody knows about this mission. It was the one that we saw at the very beginning when they were showing off GTA 5. It's the first mission that we heard about. It's the one that was in quite a lot of the trailers. It was in the gameplay stuff, which is probably why I've chosen it,
because you spent so long looking at that.
Yeah, because we covered it so much, and it was like such an iconic thing. Like it became, this mission. I can't wait to get to that mission. That's the one where they go into the IEA building, and you've obviously got to retrieve Mr. K.
That's it. Yeah, and it's a good
building.
one. I can't remember if this is I think this might be the first mission in the game where you have all three characters in use at the same time.
I think it's definitely the one where you can switch for the first time.
So you've got Trevor flying the helicopter, you've got Michael rappelling off the helicopter down the side of the building, and you can kind of, as you're working your way down, you can see other people in their offices, and then you switch the camera to see what's going on to Mr. K in the room where they're basically beating him up in there
with a giant torch.
And threatening to do very bad things with it. And then so then you smash through that. But then you've got Franklin on the other building as well with his sniper rifle providing support there, sort of taking out all the guys in the room and the ones who come in afterwards as support, and then getting Michael back out again. And then I think you can use Franklin to snipe one of the helicopters, and then switch to Michael, and you're shooting from the helicopter, then taking out the remaining helicopters that are chasing after you. Yeah,
it's really good, and I think one of the best uses in the game of the three character system. Like, it gives you that sense of everyone has a different role and they're all working together. But it's definitely one of my favourite ones from that, mainly because loads of the screenshots came from that mission as well. Like, before release, you could see Franklin with his sniper rifle and Michael flying in the helicopters. Why are people chasing him? Turns out it was because he's stolen a
man from
the cops.
Yeah.
Don't like it. Okay, let's go on to one of yours now for the next one, which I think let's go for Deep Inside.
Yes.
One of your selections.
I enjoyed this one a lot. This is the one where you've got to basically steal the James Bond style spy car from the movie set. I think it's for Steve Haynes, sends you to go and collect that for him. As Franklin, you can sort of sneak your way into the movie lot, sneak up behind the actor who's just been shouting at somebody and sent them off, and he's practicing his lines and doing his vocal warm-ups, and you sort of sneak up behind him and knock him out and drag him off to the trailer to take his tuxedo. And then you can basically just stroll into the set and grab the car without being challenged too much. I think I've not actually tried it the other way. I imagine if you just run straight in as Franklin,
I don't think they like that.
A bit more resistance.
Yeah, definitely.
But certainly, even with the outfit and stuff, they kind of think you're a stunt double at first, but then they soon realise you're not, and so they're still shooting at you as you're trying to get out of the lot with the car.
But like you say, it's like a James Bond car, so it has loads of gadgets in it as well that
exactly
you never get to use again. It's only in that car.
Exactly. It's just in that one car. So you've got basically there's also your co-star actress is in there, so she's shouting at you, but also quite interestingly she keeps grabbing the steering wheel, so as you're driving along your car will suddenly swerve off to the side and you'll be like steering with a pad, sort of fighting against that. And then you've got all the security from the movie lot chasing after you, so you get to sort of use some of the gadgets, use the spikes to sort of drop those in the street and flatten their tyres, stop them chasing after you. Once you've got rid of them, you then get to have a little play with the ejector seat as well. to get rid of your co-star who's getting quite annoying by that point. Pop her out of the car. And then go and meet with Steve Haynes, drop the car off in his little lockup there where he's collecting all these fancy cars you've been getting for him. And that's when Lamar rocks up at the end as well. Sort of a surprise when you're driving back. They're like, "Oh, we've heard there's a shady character hanging around. Like, let us know if you see anything." And then Lamar pops up at the end with his own inimitable way.
Yes, nice one. Okay, well, finally then, of my choices, I've got
Oh yes, Queda Libre,
Queda Libre, yeah.
which is interesting. Is Spanish for free fall.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is the one where Michael gets a giant sniper rifle,
Like
up.
the size of inside a van.
Yeah,
a
it
van
can
size.
only be hidden inside a van, up at the Griffith Observatory.
Yeah.
I think he goes on the phone to Trevor and says like, "You won't believe this gun that I've got."
Yeah,
Shoot
I
this
think
plane down.
I think he's sort of saying, "Oh, if you don't think Madrazo's like serious, like the hardware he's given us for this is pretty crazy." So yeah,
And then once you shoot the plane that's coming towards you across Los Santos,
yeah, you've got like a little reticule thing you've got to sort of aim
shoot in front of the plane.
Yeah, it's quite tricky. I made a bit of a dog's dinner of it on this
Okay,
on the capture. Like, I'm sure you'll edit around that, but it's there's one of the gold things is for doing 3 shots, 3 hits and taking it down. But basically, you've got to get pretty much as soon as it appears, you've got to start getting your shots in, because if you leave it too long, it sort of swings and flies across in front of you, and then it's flying away really fast and it's really hard to hit. So.
Yeah. So once you've done that, then it switches to Trevor, and you get to go on the dirt bike to chase the plane down as it's crashing, which is a really great moment. Like going down giant mountains, you got to jump across the train tracks.
Yeah, you've got like a slow motion jump over a road, over a couple of like a truck and a car's driving past, and you've got the train you jump over as well. You can like hit the focus button to kind of like move the camera to watch the plane coming down. It's like really cinematic kind of moment in there. It's really impressive. One thing that amused me is sort of towards the end of the chase, when you're driving through Sandy Shores, you drive past Trevor's shack. And he starts shouting at Ron on the way past. And it's like, "Oh, get back to work, Ron." And I think when he goes to, that's quite a funny moment in that.
Nice one. And this is the one where it takes you out of the city for a while, like, because after that mission, you've just shot a plane down, obviously, so you have to sort of lay low for a bit.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting. So you take the guy out, you steal the papers and stuff. Trevor goes off to return them to Madrazo. And you, as Michael, you have to destroy the van and sort of thing, and that should be the end of it. But then Trevor phones you up and says, "Oh, change your plan, meet me here instead." And that's when you discover he's kidnapped Madrazo's wife.
Yeah.
And then that's when him and Michael have to lay low for a while, and you kind of focus on Franklin missions for a bit. And if you try and take either of them into the city, you basically have like cars of guys come chasing you and shooting at you. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, finally then, for our list of top 7 missions, you have selected Minor Turbulence.
Oh yes,
this is the one. Well, we saw quite a few screenshots of this as well before the game came out. But it's obviously the great truck out of the cargo plane mission.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is one it's sort of getting towards the height of Trevor's battles against the Merryweather people. There's the huge cargo plane sort of flying in a holding pattern above the city that he's trying to get hold of, because he's basically said he can't steal it on the ground, so you have to steal it in the air instead.
Of course,
obviously,
being Trevor.
yeah, of course it is. So you're flying around in like the Crop Duster, which is like one of the worst planes anyway. It's quite funny, right? So at the start, you have to fly very low to the ground to avoid the Fort Zancudo radar tracking you down and sending jets after you. It's quite reminiscent of there's the GTA San Andreas mission, which is very similar to that, where you've got to like fly at a low altitude to avoid detection. So maybe it's like a little kind of like hark back to that as well. And then once you've basically flown far enough around to get out of range of the fort, you can then fly up and chase the plane down. It's quite a sort of funny backwards and forwards with Trevor and the pilots of the plane, and he's sort of pretending to be just a lowly farmer who's just out to try and find some company.
Of course.
But then you've got that another sort of quite cinematic moment where you basically crash the Crop Duster into the back of the plane, and then you have to fight your way through the dock in the back of the plane, and you've got like jeeps being released and thrown towards you, and you're just sort of fighting your way up to the cockpit. And then you steal the plane, and you kind of think, "Oh, that's good, just go fly this back, land it at the runway, that'll be the end of it." And like the deal's all set up there, but then you jet scrambled, chase after you, and then they eventually obviously like fire off their missiles, take out one of your engines, and the plane's knackered completely. So then you have to get out, and then you do have the option, you can just run and jump straight out the back of the plane, But if you hop into one of the jeeps, you can actually sort of drive out of the plane and do quite a long free fall inside the vehicle while you see the sort of giant cargo plane flying off and crashing into the mountains in the background.
Make sure to jump out of that.
Definitely
vehicle,
jump out before the end. Yeah,
otherwise you will hit the ground at quite some speed.
Yeah, that's never going to end well.
All right, well that's the top 7 missions in our opinion. Obviously, they're not in any particular order. They're just like 7 missions from the game that we really enjoyed. Now there are 79 missions in the game to choose from.
Yeah.
Even though the game only lists 69 and the social club, I guess to make the joke about there being 69.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a
whether,
funny number.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess like there's some sort of branching missions and things that are probably additional to that, and obviously all the strangers and freaks stuff that we've not really looked at either.
So let us know what your favourite missions are. Obviously there are loads to choose from. We had some other mentions to go through. I Fought the Law was one of yours, I think.
So the cops, you put on the cop uniforms and sort of chase the guys down to steal their sports cars. That's quite funny.
That's a good one. We had Derailed, obviously when Trevor jumps on the train, a moving train with a dirt bike, and then has to knock the driver out, crashes it on a bridge, and then gets in the car. That mission's brilliant, actually, but didn't quite make the list. Bury the Hatchet.
Bury the Hatchet, yeah. It's the one where like you get to go back to North Yankton for the first time since the prologue. Sort of do the big shootout in the graveyard. And
get to discover the why Michael has maybe been a bit bad to his buddies.
Exactly, yeah.
The guy isn't in the grave.
Yeah.
So, and Trevor goes a bit nuts.
He does.
That's it. We got Pac-Man, which is driving the transporter.
So you got the
cars.
transporter of cars, and then that again you get a brief go with the James Bond spy car in that. You have to sort of get Franklin to climb all the way across the back of the transporter and sort of use some of the gadgets off that to get rid of the police following you.
And one of the final missions in the game, the wrap-up.
Oh yeah, this is brilliant. I think this is another one where it's just like a very funny reveal in what is sort of quite a serious scene where you've got Michael meeting up with sort of the agents he's been dealing with, and then the IAA turn up to break that up, and then the rest of the FIB turn up, and then Merryweather fly in as well, and it's just like this crazy, like every faction in the game's fighting each other at the same time.
Yeah. So loads of things to choose from there, and let us know your favourites in the comments below, and we will look at them all and then come back next week at 5 p.m. GMT.